The great people of St. Petersburg are all excited because you are going to host Major League Baseball again at Tropicana Field in front of a bursting crowd of 5,000 people under a brand new roof. I don't like the tone of that, Coca. I don't want to make fun of what they're doing. There was a hurricane that cost people billions of dollars, lives lost. Although I don't know that for sure. That seems a little strong if it didn't happen. You know, the Tropicana Field, the roof got ripped apart, became the symbol of that hurricane of last year. The nightmare that is the Rays season playing their home games at Steinbrenner Field. You know that Steinbrenner Field is a one-year stop, and they've got to get the Trop ready to go for next season. What you may not know is that the St. Petersburg City Council, just at the end of last week, they had a meeting and they said, here's what we're going to approve. Another $5.3 million for repairs and expenses to Tropicana Field. They've approved $38.5 million so far. Remember, the entire cost that St. Petersburg has to do to fix the roof and all the back and forth with Rays ownership and their co-presidents, St. Petersburg is on the hook for about $56 million. The reason why they have to fix the Trop instead of just demolishing it or letting it be an eyesore in St. Petersburg is the lease they have with the team. That lease says if something happens to the building, they've got to fix the building so that the Rays have a place to play. The irony is that the Rays don't want to play there. They want to be gone from there so fast that it makes their tails spin. But baseball is requiring them to go back to Tropicana Field because they've got nowhere else to play. And they've got to get out of the spring training facility of the Yankees. And what it means is St. Petersburg is putting money into repairing for a field for a lease that expires after 2028. Forget putting lipstick on a corpse. This is throwing good money after bad. Tropicana Field has to get torn down at some point. Whether it's to redevelop, including a stadium, or to redevelop because what St. Petersburg is going to do is build affordable housing and commercial and retail and hotels and all the other things that were going to be part of the new ballpark. That is no longer a deal, even though it was announced as a done deal with hands shaking, flash bulbs flashing, Stuart Sternberg smiling. It was all horse hockey. There is no deal for a new ballpark in St. Petersburg. And any money that St. Petersburg Council is now spending is money that it's not putting toward either a new ballpark or other development in that same area. All because they are obligated to contractually do something that nobody wants other than Rob Manfred and the schedulers to make sure Tampa's got a place to play in the 2026 season. The fact of the matter is, it's a total nightmare scenario because the St. Petersburg Council has every right to look at the team and say, hey, we've already put $56 million into play here. You've got to count that as our contribution. And the Tampa Bay Rays come back and say, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's not a contribution to a new stadium. That's you under the obligations of your old stadium. And St. Petersburg says dollars are fungible, Stuart. Money is money. I didn't expect to have to spend this money on this. Now I had to, therefore I can't spend it on that. Can you imagine in your own life, in your own budget, when you've got $100 to spend on something you want, a piece of clothing, but then your heat breaks and you've got to spend $100 to fix your heat? Guess what? You spend the $100 to fix your heat and you start saving up for the $100 that you can't spend for disposable income on new clothes. We all make choices, priorities. I don't care how much money you have. Everybody's making choices. Everybody. It sounds crazy. Musk, Bezos, Gates, Buffett. Choose whoever you want, the richest person you can think of. Everyone's making choices. Choices, as you know from me, have consequences just like actions do. St. Petersburg had no choice but to allocate this money. But what it means is they are no longer going to have the ability to make the choice to give to the Rays. And that's going to be a problem that baseball is going to have to face. But they are kicking it down the can in a way that makes my eyes water. Reminds me so much of Miami.